Hi everyone! I am so excited to share with you today the review of my 3 new products from Thinx. Two being from the Hiphugger range and one is from their cotton range. They call it Thinx Modal. And throughout the video, I will also compare it against my earlier Thinx Hiphugger moderate range, which you can check out my video link in the description below, where you can see that I compare these Thinx Hiphugger moderate against Bonds and Modibodi period underwear. So let's get started. Alright, let's start with the capacity or the absorbency level. So in here, when I compare, if you remember my earlier video, this is the moderate Hiphugger range. So this is equivalent to 3 regular tampons. So in the heavy range, which is the one above it, it's equivalent to 4 regular tampons. And whereas the super range, this one and that one, is equivalent to 5 regular tampons. In terms of number of pads, this is equivalent to 1.5, 2, 2.5, 2.5. So this is basically the same. In terms of the coverage or the padding at the actual underwear, I would like to start with this moderate range. If we put it inside out, you can see the paddings and there, and also it go all the way back here. A bit of same material, but this one's a bit thicker than that one. With this heavy Hiphugger, it doesn't go all the way to the end, it stops here, but look carefully, it's actually extended a bit longer. So the back, the exact padding here stops right at the back here. Unlike this one, it's actually stopped short here, but this material feels the same as that one, but this one, I guess it's actually just stop there. So this one looks like it's the same as this material. Now let's compare between the Super Hiphugger and the Heavy Hiphugger. This is at the front and you can see the padding, which actually really surprised me, stopped short for the Super Hiphugger range. And I thought this was probably just a mistake, so I checked against the one in the black. It's still the same. It still stops short in here compared to the heavy range. And at the back, so for the back, they have they have additional stitches around here. But one good thing is that for the Super Hiphugger range, they extended the padding all the way towards the waistband, as you can see here. Whereas for the heavy, they stop here. As for the Thinx Cotton model, at the front, if you put it side by side like this, still a bit lower, but it's not as bad in comparison to the Thinx Super Hiphugger earlier. So this is when I compare them next to each other. For the padding at the back, for the Super range from the Thinx model, the cotton range, they actually stop short here, almost similar to the heavy range from Hiphugger. There. Because I thought that my first impression, because they are called Super, I thought it would be a bit similar to what we have in terms of the Hiphugger range, where the paddy, for me, things should go all the way up towards the waistline. But nope, for the Thinx Super in the cotton range, they actually stop here. Talking about the material for the period underwear from Thinx, the underwear came with one of these labels, and I understand it is that the gusset consists of 3 components or 3 layers, being the moisture wicking, the absorbent, and also leak resistant. So when I check in their websites what are the materials made of, in summary, you can say the gusset section for these two, for the Super range, regardless it is in the cotton range or the Hiphugger, they were made 100% from polyester. Whereas for these other two, which is being the moderate and heavy, remember there's the 3 sections, right? So the leak resistance, which is the last one, was also made from 100% polyester, but in terms of the absorbent layer was made from 96% cotton and 4% elastane. But for the top layer here, which is the wicking layer, the heavy range was made by 100% polyester, similar for these other three, whereas this moderate Hiphugger range was made from 95% cotton and 5% elastane. So you can say that the moderate Hiphugger gusset was made mainly from cotton, whereas the rest are mainly made from polyester, except for this one, the absorbent layer was also made from cotton. Now let's talk about the body for the underwear in general. For this Thinx model, it was made from 53% Supima cotton, 35% Tensor model, and 21% elastane. Whereas for the Hiphugger range, regardless in what capacity scale, either the heavy, the super, or the moderate, the body itself was made from 84% polyamide and 60% elastane, whereas the body inner was made from 95% cotton and 5% elastane. One very noticeable difference at the gusset section, for the Hiphugger moderate, they're actually quite smooth. So you can see here. But in the different Hiphugger range, being the heavy and also for the super, you can see the padding is actually with some pattern. So if I put them side by side, this is from the moderate and this is from the heavy. I'm not sure, is it because it's a new thing that they have done for the past year or something, because I bought the moderate one for quite a few years back. So I'm not sure if they have improved and changed the design, but if you compare them, this is from the moderate, the heavy, and the super. Alright, now let's talk about the design. The main differences or the key features, I would say, from the Hiphugger range is at their hip, which has their lace. I think it's really beautiful lace. I've been wearing the moderate Hiphugger, this one, for quite some time now, and still retain its shape, no fray anywhere, so I think it's quite good. Whereas for the cotton range, they just have a basic simple cotton band, elastic band at the waist. Talking about the design, one major thing that I noticed the difference between the cotton range is at their gusset. The stitches go all the way, it covers the entire section here. So you see, even after the stitches, this basically still the same padding material, unlike with the Hiphugger range or most of the period underwear that I've seen out there. So these are the stitches, and after that you have a different material altogether. Now moving on at the gusset. So this is the big difference that I noticed is with the cotton range, the width is actually really small in comparison to the rest. So let me just fold them. So I have here, bottom is a moderate, heavy, super. So all these three from the Hiphugger range and also the super from the cotton range. You can see here in terms of the thickness, these two pretty much the same, whereas the super is quite thick, but of course the thickest is actually from the model range. Whereas in terms of the width, the cotton range have the smallest width, but the Hiphugger super have the widest width. Talking about comfort, regardless either they are from the Hiphugger range or also from the cotton range, they both actually in terms of material are very comfortable. In terms of bulkiness, depends, either it is the super range, this is going to be quite thick and bulky, but the heavy range actually quite thin in comparison. So just be mindful, if you're a person who's actually don't like to wear something quite bulky, this might be an issue for you. But in terms of the bulkiness of the thickness, I think they are pretty similar to the Bonds period underwear. But one thing I want to highlight is that for this cotton range, when I wore them, one thing that I feel uncomfortable or annoyed me is at the tights, the opening for the thigh section, because I'm not sure is it because my thighs are quite big or what, but when I wore it, this section here, it tends to fold over and or try to actually dig into my skin, so it can be quite annoying and uncomfortable at times. In terms of the performance, I have tried the Hiphugger heavy range, and for this one, I have to be honest, it actually disappointed me quite a bit, actually quite a lot. It only lasted 2.5 hours before it leaked, so it wasn't what I was expecting. And I also have tried the Thinx Super in both the cotton model and also the Hiphugger range. So both of these are actually performing quite good. So they lasted more than 6 hours. So yeah, I think they're actually quite good. And in terms of the Thinx cotton model, it is actually performing better than what I expected because of those padding, which I showed earlier, that is actually a bit narrow compared to the Thinx Hiphugger. But yeah, both of them actually performing quite well. Now let's talk quickly about the pricing or the cost of these products. I bought this period underwear from Thinx official website. They are US based. So all these underwears, regardless either it is the cotton range, the Hiphugger range, they all came with a single price at 35 US dollars per piece. That is equivalent to 51 Australian dollars and 22 cents. But of course, they have sales now and then. I purchased these two that was on sale at 24 US dollars and 50 cents. That's equivalent to about like 36 Australian dollars. In summary, I think Thinx produce a relatively good period underwear. It's just a few things have to be aware of so that you know when you purchased it, you've been informed. So this Hiphugger heavy range doesn't last that long when during a heavy period. If you have relatively big thighs, the cotton range might not suit you either because this can be annoying. Alright, that's all for today's video. I hope you guys found this video useful. Appreciate if you can give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button below if you want to be notified for my next video. Until then, bye!